Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my thoughts. We have a recent interview from The Walking Dead Season 8 showrunner Scott Gimple on the Civil War situation on Rick versus Maggie. And spoiler warning as per usual if you are not cut up for The Walking Dead, which means if you haven't seen up to The Walking Dead Season 8's finale. So I will put the link in the description from express.co.uk. It's referencing an interview, I believe, with Entertainment Weekly. They get a lot of good info for The Walking Dead. And there is some good info in here about where they're going with the Civil War type of storyline, as it seems, and the Maggie versus Rick situation with Daryl and Jesus and Michonne kind of in the mix here. So it says, The Walking Dead Season 9 spoilers. Rick Grimes' betrayal confirmed in unexpected twist. The Walking Dead Season 8 came to a dramatic conclusion a little over a week ago, but the cast and crew have already begun teasing fans on what they can expect when it returns for its 9th outing. So it says, The Walking Dead Season 8 finale saw Rick Grimes, played by Andrew Lincoln, decide to spare Negan's life after a tense battle. The all-out war storyline came to a close with the supervillain being taken prisoner of the Alexandrians. And while the conclusion may have been one that Rick's late son Carl would have approved of, not everyone was convinced. The final moments of the episode saw Maggie, Jesus, and Daryl chatting about Rick's decision. It's safe to say that the trio are not too impressed with Negan's fate. It says, as a result, fans should expect to see Rick's former allies turn against him. Daryl star Norman Reedus has already insisted that he would not, or he will not, betray his pal, but showrunner Scott Gimple has hinted that Jesus could be poised to kill for the former leader of the Saviors. Speaking of their reaction to Rick's decision, he told Entertainment Weekly, quote, that's absolutely a betrayal of Maggie's point of view in the book. She's understandably not down with what Rick and Daryl, too, had just been through too much. He also had a different opinion than Rick and Jesus. His loyalty remains with Maggie. Went on to add, Jesus is not Morgan. He didn't want to kill survivor saviors. He was not down with that. But would he kill Negan? I think he would. Is it Civil War, or is it them wanting to take care of the issues they see as out there? Are they looking to go against Rick directly, or is it something else? The important thing is that what was truly important to Rick, they had a different take on, and they're absolutely thinking of ways to remedy that. It says there were a few things that didn't make it into the finale. There was some really cool stuff with Negan at the sanctuary sort of addressing the troops and seeing some of his own conflicts about what they're facing. There was a lovely exchange between Rick, Michonne, and Maggie that was about the future. There was some great stuff we had to cut, but I would say not only for time, but as for flow. So it sounds like there was quite a bit of stuff that was actually cut from the finale, maybe some extra Negan scenes there, and maybe some scenes between a lovely exchange between Rick, Michonne, and Maggie that was about the future. So that's kind of cool if they had a meeting, near the end of the episode there, where you had Rick meet with Rick and Michonne meet with Maggie and the others, maybe at the hilltop or something, about the future. But is it a positive kind of conversation, or is it something else? That's kind of tricky to say. Hopefully we'll see when the Blu-ray DVD set is released in August what those scenes were. Hopefully they'll give us the deleted scenes and we'll get to kind of understand a little bit better, see some of those things that they had to remove from it due to time. Of course, there was also the premiere for Fear the Walking Dead, so they had to kind of fit it into a pretty close time slot. They did have it extended, but it wasn't that extended. It sounds like they probably could have extended it more, but most likely because of Fear coming on with Season 4's premiere right after, they probably had to cut those things and kind of have it lead in to Morgan leaving, instead of have it focus more on the war's resolution and have it focus more on kind of what was happening in The Walking Dead itself. It sounds like this year, due to the crossover, they had to kind of tailor it to that with the finale, rather than having it 100% just about the confrontation that might have occurred there between Rick, Michonne, and Maggie and the others. Then it also says here that he thinks Jesus would kill Negan, and that to me is kind of strange, because He does say here also that Jesus is not Morgan. He didn't want to kill the Saviors there earlier on in the season. If you guys remember, he wasn't down with that, as it says here. But would he kill Negan? And then he says, I think he would. That's strange to me, because I tend to think that, well, maybe he makes an exception for Negan, because Negan is, the cause of everything that's happening. So I guess the way I view Jesus right now is a bit different from the way that Scott does, because it sounds to me like he would be okay with killing Negan. And I, based on what we saw in Season 8, I kind of would say that I don't think he would. And I'm also questioning his, and I did kind of a video on that after, on the Civil War question, and I kind of said that I wouldn't think that Jesus would really be down with this whole kind of situation that's happening here and be okay with what Maggie and Daryl are kind of planning to do. I tend to think that if any of the three of them would go to Rick and tell them what's going on, it would probably be him. So more than anything, as far as like this whole Civil War kind of storyline goes for The Walking Dead Season 9, I'd say that, as I've, kind of gone over before and given my thoughts on before, I think we'll probably see some kind of assassination attempt. I don't think we'll actually see, push come to shove and things go to blows between Alexandria and the Hilltop and Maggie trying to kill Rick and stuff like this. I just can't picture, Rick and Maggie getting into a fight and, or anything like that, or Michonne having to punch Maggie or something. I can't picture that. We saw Daryl and Rick go at it a little bit in Season 8, which was wicked cool to kind of see that go down. But I feel like I just don't know where they're going with this, and I kind of feel like I don't know how much you can take with this. I don't know how far you can go with this whole Maggie, wants revenge against or Rick because of Negan. I tend to think more that she'll want to kill Negan, but I don't think she'll really be that mad. I mean, she'll be mad at Rick because he let him live, but at the same time, she'll probably just want to cancel that. And I think she probably would not be going after Rick. She more likely would be going after Negan, and then if people get in the way, well, they get in the way. But I think she still obviously respects Rick and everything like that, and just maybe after Carl. I think she could sympathize with it, too. After what happened with Carl, maybe his decision just, going different from what she had expected. But is it kind of a way, in a way, as they said here near the beginning, kind of a betrayal of Maggie by Rick because he didn't, he didn't kill Negan, or he made them save Negan. I guess in a way you could view it that way. You could view it as kind of a betrayal of Glenn and a betrayal of Maggie, or just, going the extra mile to save Negan when really you just cut his throat and everything. It doesn't really make sense to do so. But that's what we saw in the series anyway, so whatever. Certainly, either way, you guys can leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I think it's kind of a mess, to be honest. So we'll see how this whole thing goes down in next season, in Season 9. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I think it's okay as a mini story arc, but we're going to have to see how much they use it and just how this whole thing... Because it felt so weird to see her kind of react like that in the finale for Season 8. So if they do more of that kind of stuff, I just don't know how it's going to feel on screen and what it's going to look like. But, time will tell. Next year we'll see. Then we'll get into some of your guys' Q&A questions for today. Paul says, Season 7, Season 2, Season 8, Season 5, 3, 4, 6, and 1 for his favorite seasons, for his list of rankings. So, strange, but I'm not sure which direction you want to go in here, Paul. Are you saying Season 7 is the best and Season 2 is next, and then Season 8, and then Season 5, 3, 4, 6, 1, like 1 being the worst? Or are you going the other way? That's the thing. I don't know. Because you could go either way. But it's true that everybody has their own favorite seasons. And Season 2, for some people, is like the best The Walking Dead ever was. So I guess it just really depends on what you like and which time you're most into the series. Gravity Prone Part 2 says, Hey, Trev, do you suppose the writers deliberately made The Walking Dead 8 underwhelming to draw people over to fear? So I don't think so, Gravity Prone. I think that mainly what happened was probably just that they were doing it. They did so much action throughout the season. By the time they got to the end, I think they were all kind of spent, and they had spent all their budget and everything. So when it came to the end, they went with the twist, which was fine. I thought it was pretty epic to see all the guns backfire and stuff. That was surprising. That would have been really cool to see, especially for casual viewers that had no inkling that might happen. And, a lot of us online, we kind of knew, we thought, he might rig the bullets and that kind of thing. So it had been a fan theory for a while. It ended up being true, which was cool. It wasn't a bad finale or anything, and I don't think they deliberately did it that way. I think it's just that, you're adding on something else. you're changing the focus of the finale from just a finale for the series to a lead-in for Fear. And so far, it looks like it's worked for the most part. A lot more people interested in Fear than probably would have been otherwise for season 4. And so I think it was a good decision the way they did it. But you're right, it wasn't maybe as epic or as finite as maybe some of us wanted it to be for an all-out war finale. So I hear that too. Ryan Spell says, get back to the horror for The Walking Dead. And season 9, I hope so, man. I really hope that they put a lot of horror into the Whispers. They kind of need to if they want to do them properly. The whole brutality idea, it just doesn't fit well with the Whispers. If you read the Walking Dead comic book series, every part with the Whispers, every time they do something, if there's a battle or there's a fight or anything, it's brutal. So I don't know how you can do that without having the horror and have it be fit right. You have to have the horror for the Whispers, otherwise it doesn't work the same way. So let's cross our fingers and hope that they get back to that. If you look at the season 5 premiere, you guys remember that with the bat, and they had the Trove, and they had the penguin, the actor who plays the penguin who gets smashed at Terminus and everything. That is scary stuff. That's some of the scariest stuff in the whole damn series, right? And it was some of the best stuff. Same with the season 7 premiere. They did the brutality of the bats. You both included bats, right? So season 5 premiere had the bat in it. Season 7 premiere had Lucille. So some of those parts right there were the most horrific of the series, the scariest of the whole series, and they did the best, right? In terms of excitement for the show. So let's hope the Whispers can bring that back. And I think that could be your best in terms of taking a stab at getting that audience back that's kind of declined or left for The Walking Dead. That might be your best way to take a stab at it, is to really bring the Whispers in as a must-see hardcore group that is so scary that everybody tells each other about it and people hop back on The Walking Dead again. I think that's probably the best way to go. That Ghost says, Trev, I never miss a video from you. Been watching for years. My Q&A is, can you... okay, so put this in a video. He says, what will happen to Negan's wives? If Eugene takes over, does he get them? Will they just go about day-to-day activities? So for Negan's wives that are left over from the sanctuary, well, Rick's big on peace and big on equality and that whole thing. So I would say that they'll probably be given worker jobs to do. They'll probably go do different jobs. And what they were doing before is not going to be viewed as acceptable. And I don't think anybody should be forced to do that against their will or be incentivized so much so that they decide to do something that's against their values, which is what you kind of see with Negan's wives at the sanctuary. He is a bad guy too, right? Like they make us sympathize with him quite a bit in season 8 with Simon and the others and everything that's happening to Negan, but he still has done some really questionable things, right? Obviously, creating a system like this where he's going to have a whole bunch of wives and stuff. So no, I don't think Eugene or anybody else will be getting them. I think that through peace and equality, everybody will have a chance, and it's not going to be something that'll continue on, I don't think. Bad Guy George says, I wonder if Laura is the same Laura as John Dory's Laura from Fear the Walking Dead. That's a lot of Lauras, huh? And that's true that there is a character named Laura at the Sanctuary, and she's one of the standout, her, Arat. There's a few others you can name from the Sanctuary that are kind of standout saviors, but there aren't that many. Sherry, Dwight he's kind of an ex-savior now. But there are quite a few there that you can look at. But so many were killed off this season as well too that there aren't that many notables that are still kind of around. Even though there are a lot of saviors still, there aren't too many standouts. She's one of them that's had some of the most lines, that was involved with kind of the twist with Dwight at the end of season 8 there. So that was good stuff. I don't think it's the same one. The accent doesn't sound the same to me. The distance is pretty far. So I'm just going to say that I think right now, even though I thought the first when I heard the name, I thought that too, same as you, Bad Guy George, but I tend to think it's probably a different one, because there is also an episode this season of Fear in the first half, which is named Laura. So I don't think it's her, and I don't think that, even though they're crossing some things over, I don't know if they want to do it like that tight, and kind of like include both shows or something. That would just be a bit too much. And the distance being so far, it shouldn't be that easy for characters to cross over and for us to be seeing too much of it, I don't think. I don't think you want to kill it either. I think you want to use it special occasions, but you don't want to overdo the crossover idea either. And the last one will be from Calvin624 says, why didn't Eugene let Daryl and Rosita in on the plan when it was just the three of them? So you guys remember near the finale there where he didn't tell them. He hid and then he escaped and then he went back. And he didn't tell Daryl or Rosita that he was going to do that. And it seemed like when he was back that he was really going for it and really wanted to produce those bullets for them. So some possibilities here. I tend to think he did it on purpose, and why he didn't tell them, obviously part of it's for a twist for the audience so we wouldn't know, but also I don't think they would have trusted him or listened to him. I think they would have taken him with them anyway. They wouldn't have allowed him to exact his plan. They wouldn't have allowed him to do it. And so that's why he probably escaped without telling them, because really they wouldn't let him go back because they couldn't trust him. They would think he's lying. Rosita wouldn't believe him, and neither would Daryl, so it wouldn't work anyway even if he had told them. So there's really no point. Eugene's smart enough to think, I think as a chess player, a move ahead, so there's no reason to tell them because they're not gonna go along with that anyway. He's smart enough to realize he has to escape and get back there, so he can kind of exact this plan, set up the saviors for a big fall, and he certainly did so. That'll be it for today's Q&A, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below about the Maggie versus Rick situation here, and where you stand on this one. How do you feel about Jesus? What do you think about his alliances if it comes down to a Maggie versus Rick situation here, and how this whole thing will go with Negan? I would tend to think that he'd be probably on Rick's side. If you don't need to kill the guy, you don't. You keep him prisoner, because that's exactly what happened earlier on this season with the saviors there. And Negan is your lead savior, but he's still a savior. So I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's a bit clunky there, and it doesn't quite fit for me in terms of the motivations. But let me know what you think and leave your comments below. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You guys can also share. You can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. You can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. I'll see you soon.